All right, hello. Today we're going to talk about how bones are classified. So I would like you to imagine that you're walking around and then you suddenly find a large pile of bones and you naturally decide to try to sort them into categories. So look at all these bones. What categories would you use? Do you see any similarities with the shape and the size of them? And then we're going to compare them to how they're actually classified. We are going to classify them in two main ways based on their location and their shape. So for location, the skeleton is divided into the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. Those words are right here, by the way. Hopefully my camera's not blocking them. There we go, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton is the long axis of your body, so this darker brown part right here, and it includes the skull and the rib cage and the vertebra. The appendages are your arms and your legs. So, quick review of axial skeleton. The axial skeleton includes the skull, it includes the vertebral column, all of these things, and it includes the rib cage. What function do all of those things have in common? The skull, the vertebral column, and the rib cage, they all provide support and protection. That's what our axial skeleton does. And then the appendicular skeleton includes our upper limbs along with our shoulder blades. The girdle is where they attach. And it includes the lower limbs, even though Bernard is missing one, and where they attach, the pelvic girdle or the hip bones. And common function of our upper and lower limbs is movement. So axial skeleton protecting us, appendicular skeleton letting us move. And then the other way we can classify bones is based on their shape. So we're going to classify them into four categories: long, flat, short, and irregular. And then let's bring it back so you guys can see me holding them up. So let's start with long bones. Long bones are longer than they are wide. So most of your appendages, like all of your arms and your legs, are going to be long bones. But this one is surprising. Take a look at your feet. These bones are also longer than they are wide. So these are long bones. These are long bones. Even these little teeny tiny ones are long bones. So long doesn't mean long means it has an elongated shape. It doesn't mean that it's not small, because even all of these are long bones as well. So think of long bones like rectangles. Short bones are like cube shape, and those are going to be the bones in your ankles and your wrist. So here's our long bones, and then all of these ones in here are short bones, the tarsals. And then everything in your wrist right here would be a short bone as well. If you come in here, you can feel your long bone, and then all of this stuff in here is a short bone. And then we also have flat bones. So flat bones are going to be very thin and curved, like your breastbone or your sternum right here, and the ribs and the shoulder blades. And actually, a lot of the skull bones are flat bones. Here's the head of a skull, not Bernard's, a different head. And you can see all of these different colors. Notice how thin and flat they are. And then we need a catch-all category. So anything that doesn't fit into the long, short, or flat category is called an irregular bone. This would be like the vertebra. Not going to fit into any of those other categories. More vertebra for you. Also, the lower jawbone that Bernard is missing, that would be an irregular bone. Also, your sacrum and your hips. This part right here is the sacrum and your hip bones. All of those are irregular bones. Ooh, and challenge question. Take a look at Bernard's collarbones, his clavicles right there. How would you categorize them? if you could feel them, you would feel that they're actually pretty round, like a long bone. And so these are long bones. Flat bones have to be like exceptionally flat to be able to be categorized as a flat bone. Oh, and there's one more special type of bone that I want to show you guys a picture of. This is a subcategory of short bones, and they are called sesame seed bones or sesamoid bones. But they're named sesamoid after sesame seeds because they're supposed to look like that. So let's orient ourselves. This tan stuff is bone. That blue stuff is cartilage. What type of cartilage would that be? It's hyaline cartilage because it's on the end of a joint. And then right here, your kneecap or your patella is your sesamoid bone. What looks weird about it? Hopefully you came up with it's in this white sheath that's attaching this muscle to this bone. That's called a tendon. Tendons attach muscles to bones. So sesamoid bones form inside of tendons in places where like the tendon is subject to a lot of kind of like stretching and pulling and it needs a little bit of reinforcement. So everyone has at least one sesamoid bone, your kneecap. Some people have other sesamoid bones. Like here is the tendon that's attaching this muscle to your toe bone. And notice there's two little sesamoid bones right here. I had to get my foot x-rayed a few years ago, so this is what my foot looks like. Yes, I do have very wide feet, but I love this, like right here and right here, you can actually see my two sesamoid bones. You may or may not have those. Sesamoid bones are special in that they can vary from like person to person. So like someone might have none in their foot, or someone might actually have three in their foot. Bones are really good about responding to use. So like areas where there's more strain, that would be like where a sesamoid bone would develop. Some people even have kind of like a little elbow cap on their elbows. And that's a wrap on bone classification. Let me know what questions you have. Goodbye.